Brandon, you just pan to an empty box. You're nerding out about that. Okay.
All right. So earlier you mentioned Princess Bride very briefly, and I know
Yes.
that you like Princess Bride.
Love it.
Okay. Well, I read a book. Well, listen to the audiobook. Still, I consumed a book by Brandon Sanderson called Tress of the Emerald Sea that was largely inspired by Princess Bride, where it's the core start of the idea for the book was, what if Princess Buttercup didn't assume that Wesley had died and decided to do something about it, trying to find him? Okay. That's the kernel of the idea.
So is it based in the exact same universe then?
No, not even close.
So it's just the idea. Okay, we're gonna make our own universe out of it.
Yes.
But that's kind of the idea. Okay, got it. Inspired by.
Yes, inspired by. And the humor is very similar to Princess Bride. A lot of dry and sarcastic humor. I really I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a world where instead of oceans of water, there's oceans of spores. But if the spores get wet, depending on what color spore they are, they do different things. So like she is from the verdant or emerald sea. If the green spores get wet, they grow vines that often ensnare people. As a for instance. And so yeah, it's her quest to find her lost love. And it's really good. I don't know if he's gonna make a sequel to it or not. It in and of itself, it didn't leave you wanting more, so I wouldn't be surprised if he left it as a one-off. It is technically connected to the Cosmere, which is his interconnection between a lot of his different books, Brandon Sanderson's books. But it's only loosely connected to it. Like, you don't have to have read any of the other Cosmere books in order to read it or anything like that. And it actually started off as a book that he wrote for his wife, and then she said, no, you need to publish this and put it out there because she liked it that much. And
see, he gets the support he's looking for. Honestly, side note, truthfully, I think that's the kind of moment I'm hoping for one day, is something like that. Like I do something and I just did it because, and then my wife goes, "No, yeah, you need to share this. This is crazy, awesome." But that, I mean, so is it a series of books or is it just one story?
This one is just one story, but it is technically connected to a lot of other books, but only loosely. So it's in the same, not even the same world, the same universe as a bunch of other books. But yeah, no, it was very, very good. I'm still working on Wheel of Time. I'm sure I'll nerd out about that more so when I finish it. I'm on like book 13, I think, out of 16. So I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Spoiler alert, they never finished the books.
Yes, they did.
You got so offended by that thought, though.
No. You say that. The author died before the books were finished.
I know.
And Brandon Sanderson, who wrote this book that I just read, he finished the last 3 books of the series. So, and he was specifically, like, the author knew that he was dying, and so he took a ton of notes on where he saw the story going and asked his wife to find an author to finish the story because he knew he was dying. So, yeah. And Brandon Sanderson, he's talked about how reading through Robert Jordan's notes changed how he approaches book writing.
Interesting.
I mean, Brandon Sanderson already had quite a few books underneath his underneath his belt. But yeah, no, he said it completely changed his outlook on how he mapped out his books and whatnot. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. So
that is really cool.
yeah, it is a huge undertaking. These books are not small, and there's a bit of a, I think it's books 8, 9, and 10 where they do a lot of world building, and they don't really move. It doesn't feel like they're moving the plot forward much, so they're a bit of a slog. But I'm past that point now, so yeah.
Have you jumped into for the end of last year? Seemed like everybody was reading these, and nobody knew everybody else was reading them. And they're like, "Have you heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl?" I think sort of.
I want to. I want to. It's on my. It's on my to be read. Yeah. No, I definitely want to read Dungeon Crawler Carl, which the author of that was actually on a panel turned podcast for Brandon Sanderson this last episode of his. So yeah, as Steven says, he's on book 2 of Dungeon. I've heard they're fantastic.
I have too.
So
many good things about them. And I know I could get the audio book because that's how a lot of people are consuming them. But I'm like, I'm just weird about that. Not about the books themselves, but it's like, okay, I just have to make a decision when I'm in a car. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but the ones I do, I like to keep up on. And they like DTNS literally puts out one a day. So it's like, if I listen to a book for an hour today, that's 2 more podcasts I'm getting behind on. And I'm fairly caught up right now. So maybe I'll get to a point where I'm staying current in the week and then can start putting some books in, because I do miss it. I love Dean Koontz. He's my favorite. I've read a lot of his stuff, but not nearly enough. And I would like to do Carl, and I'd like to tap into some of these Brandon Sanderson books.
Yeah. Brandon Sanderson, he's got a ton of books, and some are very good.
When we have him on, we really want to dive into the creative intimidation that is to step into shoes of that size, to take it on knowing that fans are not the most understanding of human beings in the world.
Yeah. But from everything I've heard, people really like how he finished it up. So obviously I haven't gotten there yet, but I am looking forward to it. So
awesome. Well, my nerding out is snow days, which interestingly enough, there's still snow in our yard and around, and there's certain areas that haven't fully melted. And I went up to North Georgia today, about 2 hours north, to almost the South Carolina state line. And the base that we have there is really shaded in many areas. And it's like an ice field. Like they cleared off the drive for us to get in and out of our base. But the whole property that we have, this is decent size. I mean, you don't call it a yard for business, but basically a decent sized yard. It's a good 1.5 inches of ice still there now, because it's snow that compressed down and just didn't melt and whatever. So it's crazy fun. But this past weekend, for all of us in the South, I didn't even ask you how much you had. I know we did some stuff on Discord. We got in our Discord and shared some photos. But ultimately, for me, I woke up Friday morning to already an inch on the ground, and it was coming down hard enough you could hear it hitting the roof. And for my lifetime, that's the hardest, biggest snow I've ever seen and had. And just that bite, man, there's just something different about snow weather than cold weather. But it was, I came out here to try to do some work, and I had my big heater on, had this blasting, and I only stayed out here like an hour. I just could not get warm. But the kids had a blast. Of course, they the snowballs, all that stuff. I'm beyond playing in that. So I like looking at it. It's fun, but I'm not going to play in it. But it shut down my world, right? I didn't go to work Friday, and didn't have a lot of work to do because the world shut down. Saturday, Sunday, my gig canceled. So I got a 3-day weekend. And for a minute, I regretted not really doing anything. because it's a great opportunity to rewire my in-ear monitors to try to get them to work so I can take these headphones off because I like the in-ear wireless ones and the way they land, and they don't feed back in the microphone, blah, blah, blah. Clean up Wise and Nerdy's Patreon, or, a million other creative things I could do, right? Instead, I basically sat at the kitchen table with my wife for 3 days off and on, and we just played Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on like this huge wall with my projector. And we watched some things. We did some other little stuff, whatever. But we just chilled. And I remember Sunday morning, because I thought she was going to go do something. Because by Sunday, the roads were clear. I mean, we still had snow in the grass and whatnot, but the roads were clear and safe. Life could get back to normal. So I thought she was going to do some other things. So I'd said the night before, I might go work on some show stuff in the studio and whatnot. So Sunday morning, we're up 10-ish, whatever. I'm getting my coffee. And she's like, so you going to go to work? I'm like, what are you doing? Well, and she does a thing called roadie. And that's basically doing deliveries from places of stuff. Like you can actually order something from Best Buy who does not have a delivery service. And I don't know how you do it. I don't think you just go right through the website. I think you got to go through the Roadie app. But if you want it delivered, you go through the Roadie app, order it. Just like DoorDash, they add a fee to it, and it gets delivered to you that same day. And it's all local based, right? And she loves that. I mean, she does Lyft and stuff too for fun to make some money. But that she really likes because you can get 2 or 3 things at once. And sometimes, it pays crazy good, depending on what it is. And she's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that because most of the places she goes, dirt roads, rural areas where sunshine's not hitting, that kind of stuff. Like, well, that does make sense because if you're in the city, you can just run and grab it. And we're not talking about just fast food, that kind of thing like DoorDash. We're talking about PCs and she delivers a lot of TVs and stuff that's not normally delivered unless you ship it in a few days, right? You want to order it today and get it today. That's how it's done. So so she goes, so what are you gonna do? It's like, well, let's just play some Tears of the Kingdom. And she's like, already? It's almost like I said, let's crack open the bourbon and start drinking at 10. Like, yeah, why not? We're not doing anything else. And so by lunch, I had the bourbon cracked open because I wasn't doing anything else. So I'm drinking and we're playing Tears of the Kingdom. But it really was fun. It was
to stay warm, right? That's why you were drinking the bourbon. Yeah.
Always, Joe. I mean, it's so cold out here, so I'm always, okay. So here's the actual review. The Green River 90 proof, not for me. I still have half a cup left of it. It's like a double shot basis. I still have a shot of it left. It's just not for me. But yeah, I always stay warm. That's the only reason I drink. I'm a purist. My body's a temple. I'm a mega church. But yeah,
now I need you to go get a bowling alley tattoo and be like, I'm a mega church. Underneath it.
But yeah, that first part too, dude. That should be one of our t-shirts. My body's a temple. I'm just a mega church. People would buy that. All right, well, John's going to design this logo. It'll be great. But yeah, I never had snow days as a kid, right? Because you see it on TV in the South. It's like everybody's watching to see if their school's closing. And it's a free day to do whatever. And it was so cool at this point in life to get that. The kids, my wife ate it up, right? All the kids are home. They're enjoying the time outside. They're enjoying the time inside. Yes, everybody kind of spread out again, did their own thing, so on and so forth. But there was more family time than normal because 2 older teenagers out of high school, basically, you don't have a ton of time together. And we haven't done like video game marathons like that since we were first married. And that was, as I was trying to think, I told Jess, man, I don't really know what I'm nerding out about tonight because this week's been from show to show. It's been a blur, just a lot of stuff going on. Though, except for the 3-day weekend where the world stopped for us, and so I highly encourage if you can take that moment. Part of my brain.
And how much snow did you actually get? Like 4 or 5 inches?
No,
not even.
I would say probably 2.5 inches. Honestly,
okay, we got about 3 inches here. So
yeah. Where I live specifically, like there were definitely parts of Georgia that got 4 or 5, whatever. But
then people in the north are just laughing at us because it really did. It shut down everything for the weekend.
laugh it up, chuckle butt, because one, in the South, it's not just snow, it's ice. We get tons of ice. Two, we only get it once every 2 or 3 years to that level. So we don't have all the crap you have that treats the right, if that treats the roads, that does all that. We don't have a whole lot of that because it goes to waste. Three, yeah, tell me how much you want to make fun of me about snow at Dragon Con when you're sweating and dying, and I haven't broken a sweat yet because it's not that hot. It's just humid. All right, it's just humid. So,
well, and so you're talking about getting out or staying in, whatever. So I had to work on Friday. Our office was closed, but I'm a teleworker at this point, and so I still had to work.
Just because I was closed doesn't mean you don't have to work.
But so my kids got out. They made this tiny little 8-inch, maybe a foot snowman, and they named it Bob. So Bob the Snowman. And so on Saturday when I was off, I was like, okay, we're gonna go make a real snowman. And so I proceeded to help them make a snowman that's about as tall as you are.
Wow. Okay, I saw the picture. I didn't realize it was that tall.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So it's about as tall as you were. We had to build a ramp to push the middle ball up onto the bottom ball because it was so heavy. Because it, like you said, it wasn't fully snow at that point. It was more
powder. It is
not even close to powder.
You don't really want to do snowball fights with this because you get hurt.
Well, no, I had to keep telling my kids stop throwing snow at each other because they're gonna get hurt.
And you do it a little bit. You always do it a little bit, but
yeah, with the slush balls.
Yep.
But yeah, no. So we built a big old snowman, put some coal eyes and coal buttons, and went the whole shebang. And they named the big snowman Beefy Bob.
Beefy Bob.
And I posted the pictures in our chat, and they renamed him to Leafy Bob because the snow had a ton of leaves in it. But yeah, it was good time. Good time.
Devo says we had 7 to 8 inches of snow and I had to shovel, so I'm not laughing. Yeah, no, I get that.
Beefy Bob is not looking so beefy. I looked at him tonight, and his head, it's still there, but it's real small, and he's got an itty bitty waist. I wouldn't be surprised if the middle ball and the head fell off tomorrow. But yeah,
sure. But the real question is, does he have a round thing in your face? Thanks, Daddy-Os, for coming out and hanging out with us. We love you all.